All right, hello folks and welcome. So we're going to keep on this for the week. I figured we'll talk about kind of like health, but spiritual health. So yesterday we spoke of in our first video about the conservation of energy, and that everything that you're already hoping and desiring for in your life is already here, but getting in alignment with it. Well, there's something else in health and fitness that we talk about and it's called energy balance. Energy balance in this case is we're talking about the way we take in energy mainly is through food, at least for the body, the biological aspects of the body to feed the cells. So there is the energy that we take in through our food, and then there's the energy that we expend or use up for everything from just what the body needs to keep itself going, what we call your basal metabolic rate, so that's the first one. And that actually consumes the most energy, just what it takes, yes, just to keep the body here. Then on top of that, there's your activity that you do throughout the day, no matter what that is, whether it's sitting at a desk or you're up and running, you're working out, whatever. Then it takes some amount of energy to digest your food, yes. But all of the biological processes, thinking is very heavily energy dependent. You use a lot of energy thinking, believe it or not. Digesting food, your heart, all the organ systems. So you combine all that, all the organ systems and what they're doing just to keep the body going, your basal metabolic rate, and then all the other stuff you do with chronic thinking and exercising and everything else, which you need to do, what you should do, yes, and then digesting food and that kind of stuff. That's your total, what we call your total daily energy expenditure. So the challenge is for most folks, and I'll say most, and this is throughout the world now, but for a very, very long time, and still probably so, the United States is leading the world, but Australia caught up very quickly, and now most of Europe is also catching up, where we're taking in too much energy, too much food, and we're not exercising or we're not expending enough energy, so we get into a surplus of energy. Now you would say, who doesn't want a surplus of energy? But what happens is the body has to take that food and store it, stored energy. Well, the only way the body stores energy, mainly, is by creating body fat. So body fat, or fat, is a storage unit for energy, mainly is its main source. And so when we have excess energy or excess calories, which is what energy is, calories are energy, then the body has to figure out what to do with it. It stores it, it creates more body fat, and then we're in too much of a surplus. And when you get in too much of a surplus, there's an overload on the body, and then you start moving in towards illnesses and diseases and all sorts of autoimmune things and allergies and everything, all sorts of hormonal issues, and it's really chronic. So we want to be able to figure out, and it's not hard to do, by the way, we do it with clients all the time, is to find out the balance between how much energy we're using during the day and match that with what we're taking in. And then if we have excess amounts that we're overweight, then we still have too much in store. So we're expending this much energy. We should lower our calorie intake a little bit, and then we'll start using up that body fat, etc. And if we're underweight, because some folks are underweight and that's unhealthy too, then you start eating a little bit more to match your energy level or your energy expenditures. Now, here's the thing. That's the biological stuff. Let's take that into the analogy of your spiritual metabolism, because that's really what I want to talk about. So your spiritual metabolism, in the same way, you can think of as this. It takes very little energy to just be. But it takes an incredible amount, a surplus of chronic thought energy to continually keep the false identity going. And it hoards that. Where does it get its nutrition from? The false identity gets its nutrition or its energy from creating more thoughts about itself. So it literally gorges itself on more thoughts of, well, what about this today? And did you hear what that person said to me? And oh my God, I got to worry about that. And well, what if we can't go on vacation this year? And well, how am I going to pay the rent? And I can't believe he did that to me. And oh my goodness, she broke up with me. She broke my heart. Whatever it is, the mind holds the image, the self-image, which isn't what you are, but it continually, the self-image then takes it and it like starts eating everything. More thoughts, choose on more thoughts, choose on more thoughts. And there's such a surplus of poor quality of thought that doesn't have any true nutrition to it, spiritual nutrition to it, that you literally can become spiritually starved, meaning you have no connection with your authentic nature. This is a good analogy. So the idea of quality over quantity. Most of us are about gorging ourselves, even though we don't think about it that way. We're gorging ourselves with negative thoughts and worries and doubts and anxiety and what ifs and oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure you can understand that. We gorge ourselves. As a matter of fact, to give you a number, and I believe this is correct, I remember reading this some time ago, that it was said that the average person has approximately 60,000 thoughts a day, meaning the hours that you're awake. So let's say the average person is awake 16 hours. So in 16 hours, you're having roughly 60,000 thoughts. That's a huge appetite. And here I'm going to tell you why. It's excessive. It's excessive amount of thought calories that you're taking in. And you're feeling the illness from that, the mental emotional illness, what we call mental emotional pain and suffering, of all the, oh my God, my life, and I wish I had this, and what's wrong with me, and all these things, the self-doubt, the worry, the fear, the anxieties, no matter what it's about. The mind is constantly wanting, it seems like it constantly wants to think. It's addicted to consuming, to create and hold on to its identity, even if it's one that says, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. It's excessive amounts of calories. I would say that out of those 60,000 thoughts, 59,600 of those thoughts are basically completely unneeded. They're excess thoughts that you don't even need. And I would say probably about 400 thoughts a day are what I would call falling into two categories of practical thoughts. So just practical thoughts of somebody says, well, how would you like to handle that today or work on that or that? And your practical thought is, okay, how about if you think about it and you go, how about if we do it this way? Okay, great. Or I'll have to think about that a little bit more and you'll have some other practical thoughts about how to go about creating that or whatever it is. So practical thoughts, right? And then the rest of the thoughts should be, if your spiritual metabolism is strong, should be just feeling your sense of being, feeling the sense of well-being, that sense of just existing. That is quality over quantity. And the quality, when we go back to now actual nutrition, food nutrition, when you're eating high quality food, you don't need to eat as much because the body recognizes, oh my gosh, look, I can grab all the amount of protein I need from that. It's high quality protein. There's just enough high quality carbohydrate. There's just enough high quality fiber, just enough high quality fat or lipids without being in excess to keep the body healthy and strong without overloading it. Yes? Well, it's the same thing with your spiritual metabolism. My master, he says the fire of grace, that grace will burn. That's metabolism. You're burning up the energy that's no good. You're burning it up. All the worries, the fears, the doubts, this is what I think about myself. And so I see that I'm just about to go over here. So I want to leave you with that. I love you, love you, love you. Make sure that your spiritual metabolism is high and only quality is coming in.